I was on day 3 of a luxury Alaskan cruise with my niece Sarah and her fiancé Marcus when the spa attendant leaned close during my massage and whispered, "Don't go on the glacier hike tomorrow. Please, just trust me." I thought she was joking, maybe warning about the difficulty of the trail for someone my age. But when I opened my eyes, I saw genuine fear in her face. 20 minutes later, she showed me the text message she'd accidentally seen on Marcus's phone while he was getting his treatment in the next room. The message that made my blood run cold. Before we continue, let me know where you're watching from in the comments below. The afternoon sun blazed through the floor-to-ceiling windows of my Seattle home 6 months before that cruise. I sat in my study, organizing case files from my 40 years as a detective. Most were digitized now, but I kept the physical copies of the big ones, the ones that mattered. The house felt too quiet since I'd retired, too empty. That's why when Sarah called that day, her voice bright and excited, I felt something like hope. "Uncle Robert, I have the most amazing idea." She always called me that, even though I'd raised her since she was 8 after my sister died. Her father had never been in the picture. She was my daughter in every way that mattered, even if the paperwork said niece. "What's that, sweetheart?" "An Alaskan cruise. 7 days. You, me, and Marcus. Quality time together before the wedding. You've done so much for me, and I want to create some special memories." I set down the file I'd been reviewing. Sarah had always been thoughtful, but this felt different, more urgent somehow. "When's the wedding again?" "October. But Uncle Robert, this cruise is in July." "Perfect timing. You're always saying you want to see Alaska." "I don't remember saying that." "But, okay, when in July?" She laughed, that bright sound I'd heard since she was a little girl crying over her mother's coffin. I'd promised my sister I'd take care of her baby. I'd kept that promise through scraped knees, high school drama, college applications, everything. July 15th. "It's all booked already. Our treat. You deserve it after everything you've done for me." Something in my detective's brain flagged that, "all booked already," before asking me. But I pushed it down. Sarah loved surprises. Always had. "That sounds wonderful, honey." "Thank you." After we hung up, I noticed the life insurance documents on my desk. I just updated them last month, increasing the policy to $800,000. My financial advisor had suggested it, said with my pension and savings, Sarah would be well provided for. She was my sole beneficiary, had been since she turned 18. I filed the documents away, and didn't think about them again until that massage room on the ship. The cruise ship was massive, 15 decks of luxury that made my modest Seattle home look like a closet. Sarah and Marcus had booked us all suites on Deck 10, Ocean View. Marcus insisted on paying for everything, which should have felt generous but somehow didn't. He was 28, 6 years younger than Sarah, handsome in that calculated way some men have. Perfect teeth, perfect hair, personal trainer physique. He worked in finance, he said. Something about cryptocurrency investments. I'd asked him specifics once over dinner. His answer had been vague enough to make my cop instincts twitch. The first 2 days of the cruise were pleasant. We ate at the fancy restaurants, watched the coastline slide past. Sarah seemed happy, laughing at Marcus's jokes, holding his hand, but I noticed things. The way she checked her phone constantly, the way Marcus's eyes followed wealthy-looking passengers like he was cataloging assets, the way they'd whisper to each other and stop when I approached. On day 3, Sarah insisted I book a massage at the ship's spa. "You're so tense, Uncle Robert. You need to relax. This is vacation." The spa was on Deck 5, all white marble and soft music. The attendant who took me to my room was young, maybe 25, with kind eyes and gentle hands. Her name tag read, Lisa. She worked quietly for the first 20 minutes, professional and distant. Then she leaned close to my ear. Her voice was barely audible over the meditation music. "Don't go on the glacier hike tomorrow. Please, just trust me." I opened my eyes. "What?" Her hands didn't stop moving, kept working on my shoulders like she was just doing her job, but her voice was urgent. "I saw something. On your nephew's phone." "I can't, I shouldn't, but I have to tell someone." My heart started pounding. "Marcus isn't my nephew. He's my niece's fiancé." "What did you see?" She glanced at the door. He was in the next room, getting a treatment. His phone kept buzzing. The screen lit up. I saw a text message. She paused, her hands trembling now. It said, "Tomorrow during the glacier hike. Push him at the ice bridge. Make it look like he slipped. Sarah has the suicide note ready." The room spun. I must have made a sound because Lisa stopped, moved around to face me. "I'm so sorry. I know I shouldn't have looked. But I couldn't just ignore that." "Are you absolutely certain that's what it said?" She nodded, tears in her eyes. "I took a photo. I could lose my job for this, but I couldn't let someone die." "Show me." She pulled out her phone with shaking fingers, navigated to her photos. There it was, Marcus's phone screen, clearly visible. The message was from a number not saved in his contacts. The words exactly as she'd said. I stared at it. My niece. The little girl I'd raised. The woman I'd walked through every milestone. She was planning to kill me. "Can you send that to me?" I kept my voice steady. 40 years of interviewing suspects had taught me to control my reactions. She did. Then she looked at me with those kind eyes. "What are you going to do?" "I'm going to gather evidence, and I'm going to make sure they face consequences. But I need you to act normal. Can you do that?" She nodded. When I left the spa an hour later, Marcus and Sarah were waiting in the hallway outside. They'd scheduled their appointments to end at the same time as mine. "Coincidence," Sarah said brightly. "Want to grab lunch?" I smiled at them. My niece and her fiancé. The people planning to murder me tomorrow. "Sure, sweetheart. I'm starving." That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in my suite, listening to the ocean, thinking about Sarah at 8 years old, how she'd clung to me at her mother's funeral, how I'd taught her to ride a bike, to drive, to be strong. I'd paid for her college, walked her through her first heartbreak, been there for everything, and she wanted me dead. My phone lit up on the nightstand. A text from Sarah. "Excited for tomorrow's hike? The glacier is supposed to be amazing." I typed back. "Can't wait." Then I opened my laptop and started working. Detective mode. I needed evidence. Lots of it. Undeniable proof. First, I logged into my email and searched for anything from Sarah or Marcus. Found the cruise confirmation from 3 months ago. The travel insurance they'd purchased. I clicked on the policy details. My hands went cold. They'd bought $1 million accidental death policy on me, listed themselves as beneficiaries. I was the insured party, but I had never signed anything. I checked the signature on the digital form. It was close to mine, but not quite right. The capital R in Robert was wrong. I never made that loop. Forgery. First piece of evidence. I dug deeper. Bank statements. I had access to Sarah's accounts because I'd set them up for her years ago, taught her about financial responsibility. She'd never removed my access. There it was. Cash withdrawals. $15,000 over the past 2 months, all in small amounts. $500 here, $1,000 there. The pattern was familiar. I'd seen it 100 times in my career. Gambling debt. I searched her email next. Found correspondence with an online casino. Account statements showing losses totaling $67,000. Collection notices. Threatening messages from people who didn't use official letterhead. Then I found the emails to Marcus. The ones where she admitted she couldn't ask me for money again. I'd already given her $20,000 last year to pay off student loans. The emails where Marcus suggested a different solution. The ones where they discussed life insurance payouts. Where they planned this trip. I screenshot everything. Uploaded it all to encrypted cloud storage. Sent copies to my old partner, Detective James Chen, with a message. "If something happens to me on this cruise, investigate Sarah and Marcus. Evidence attached." James called within 10 minutes. It was 2 a.m. "Robert, what the hell is this?" I told him everything. The massage attendant's warning, the text message, the forged insurance policy. All of it. "Don't go on that hike." "I have to. I need them to try. I need proof of attempt, not just conspiracy. Otherwise, it's just emails and plans. They can claim it was fantasy, dark humor, whatever. I need them to act." "Jesus, Robert. You want to let them try to kill you? I'll be ready. I've handled worse in 40 years on the force, but I need you to do something for me. Name it. I gave him instructions, detailed ones. What to do if I didn't check in tomorrow evening, who to contact, how to access all the evidence, the works. After we hung up, I packed my hiking gear for tomorrow, but I added some items the crew's packing list hadn't suggested. A small recording device that looked like a fitness tracker, a GPS beacon, a tactical pen that was actually a weapon, and a copy of my will, the real one, tucked into my jacket pocket. Then I tried to sleep, failed. Instead, I lay there thinking about Sarah's childhood, teaching her to fish, reading her bedtime stories, helping with homework. Every moment I'd invested in her, every sacrifice I'd made, she'd been worth it. I thought she'd been worth it. Morning came with gray skies and cold wind. Alaska in July. The glacier hike was scheduled for 9 a.m. We met for breakfast first. Sarah was practically vibrating with energy. Isn't this exciting? She poured syrup on her pancakes. I've always wanted to see a real glacier. Marcus nodded, but he looked tense. He barely touched his food, kept checking his phone. Everything okay? I asked him directly. He startled. Yeah, just work stuff. Crypto markets never sleep. You should disconnect on vacation, I smiled. Enjoy the moment. His return smile didn't reach his eyes. You're right, absolutely. The hike group was small, just 8 tourists plus our guide, a cheerful woman named Amanda who'd worked in Alaska for 15 years. She went through the safety briefing with practiced ease. Stay on marked paths. Watch for ice. Buddy system. Sarah linked her arm through mine. You're with me, Uncle Robert. Marcus fell in step on my other side. Surrounded. Perfectly positioned. The glacier was breathtaking. Blue ice stretching as far as I could see, crevasses cutting deep into the frozen surface. The marked path took us along a ridge, then across a natural ice bridge over a particularly deep crevasse. Amanda stopped us before the bridge. Single file here, everyone. Take your time, don't rush. The other tourists went first. Then it was my turn. Actually, Sarah said suddenly, Uncle Robert, wait. Can we get a photo of you on the bridge? The light is perfect. I looked at her. My niece. Her eyes were bright, excited. I couldn't see any hint of the little girl I'd raised. Just this stranger wearing her face. Sure, sweetheart. I walked onto the bridge. It was maybe 15 feet long, 3 feet wide. Below, the crevasse dropped into darkness. A fall would be fatal. Absolutely fatal. I pulled out my phone, pretended to fiddle with the camera. Behind me, I heard Marcus and Sarah talking in low voices. The recording device in my fitness tracker was running, capturing every word. Now, Marcus's voice. Do it now. I turned, just as he lunged. His hands outstretched, aiming for my chest, ready to push me backward off the bridge. I was ready. 40 years of defensive tactics training. I sidestepped, grabbed his wrist, used his momentum against him. He stumbled, went down hard on the ice. Not over the edge. I hadn't wanted that. Just down. Sarah screamed. But not in fear, in fury. She rushed at me, and I saw the madness in her eyes. The desperation. I caught her easily, held her back. The other tourists were shouting. Amanda was running toward us. What the hell is happening? Amanda yelled. I kept my voice calm. They just tried to push me into the crevasse. I have it all on recording. Marcus scrambled to his feet, face red. That's not... He slipped. I was trying to grab him. Liar. I pulled out my phone, played back the audio. Marcus's voice crystal clear. Do it now. Sarah's face crumbled. Uncle Robert, please. You don't understand. I understand that you're $67,000 in debt. I understand you forged my signature on an insurance policy. I understand you've been planning this for months. She started crying. Real tears. But they didn't move me anymore. Amanda had already called ship security on her radio. They're sending someone. Her voice was shaken. In 15 years, I've never. The ship's security arrived within an hour, transported up the mountain by helicopter. They took statements from everyone. Lisa, bless her heart, had already come forward to the ship's captain that morning, shown them the photo, told them everything. She'd been terrified but brave. Marcus and Sarah were detained, held in the ship's brig, which I hadn't even known cruise ships had. The cruise was over for me. The ship returned to port in Juneau. FBI met us there. Attempted murder on a U.S. flagged vessel. Federal jurisdiction. They took over the investigation. I gave them everything. The forged insurance documents, the gambling debts, the emails, the text message, the recording from the bridge. 40 years of detective work had taught me well. I documented everything. The FBI agent reviewing my evidence, a young woman named Torres, looked up at me with something like awe. Mr. Harrison, this is the most organized case file I've ever seen from a civilian. I was a cop for 4 decades. Old habits. She nodded slowly. They're going to prison for this, no question. Attempted murder, fraud, conspiracy. They're done. Back in Seattle, I sat in my house, the one I'd raised Sarah in. Her room upstairs still had her high school photos on the wall, her college diploma framed and hanging. Every memory I'd made with her. I took them all down, not vengefully, just methodically. Packed them in boxes, stored them in the attic. The Sarah I'd loved was gone. Maybe she'd never existed. My phone rang constantly, James checking in, other old partners who'd heard, friends expressing shock. The trial came 4 months later. Marcus and Sarah both took plea deals. The evidence was too overwhelming for anything else. Marcus got 7 years. Sarah got 5, reduced because she testified against Marcus, claimed he'd manipulated her. I sat in the courtroom for sentencing. The judge asked if I wanted to make a statement. I stood, looked at Sarah. She couldn't meet my eyes. I raised you. I loved you. I gave you everything I had. You responded by trying to murder me for money. I don't hate you, but I pity you. You threw away something real for something that was never going to save you. That's a life sentence all its own. I sat down. The judge looked at me with sympathy, then turned to Sarah and Marcus. Your victim's mercy is remarkable. I wish I could say the same for your actions. She pronounced their sentences. Court adjourned. Outside, Lisa was waiting. The spa attendant. She'd flown in to testify. Thank you, I told her. You saved my life. She hugged me, tears on her face. I couldn't just do nothing. I changed my will the next week. The $800,000 life insurance policy, when I eventually die, goes to a scholarship fund for children who've lost parents. Children like Sarah had been. Children who deserved better than what she'd become. I also created a foundation to help spa workers and cruise employees report suspicious activity. Lisa had risked her job to save me. She shouldn't have had to risk anything. 6 months after the trial, I got a letter from Sarah, from prison. It was long, rambling, apologizing, explaining. The gambling had started small. Marcus had encouraged it. The debt spiraled. She was desperate. She was sorry. So sorry. I read it once, then filed it away with all the other evidence. Documentation. Always document. I didn't write back. Instead, I started volunteering. At-risk youth programs. Teaching kids about financial responsibility, about making good choices, about how one bad decision can cascade into disaster. I tell them my story sometimes, not the murder part, just about how trust is sacred, how family is precious, how you can't buy your way out of every problem. Some of them listen, some don't. But I try. I'm 63 now, a year older than when Sarah tried to kill me. My house is quieter than ever, but it's peaceful, not lonely, peaceful. I took out that old photo last week. Sarah at 8, gap-toothed smile, hugging my neck. I looked at it for a long time, felt something that wasn't quite grief, more like closure. Then I put it in an envelope. Wrote Sarah's name and prison number on it, included a brief note. This is who you were. This is who you could have been. The gap between those two people is the saddest story I know. I hope you find your way back, but I can't help you anymore. Take care of yourself. I mailed it, felt lighter afterward. My old partner James called last night. How you doing, Robert? Good. Really good, liar, he laughed. But I get it. This isn't something you get over. It's something you survive. He was right. I survived. That's the lesson worth teaching. That you can be betrayed by the people you love most, and you can still survive. Still find meaning. Still help others. If you like this story, please subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever had to cut ties with family? How did you find the strength? I'd love to hear your experiences. Tomorrow I'm teaching another class, 15 kids who need guidance, who need to know that choices matter, that actions have consequences, that even when the people you trust most fail you, you can still stand up, still fight back, still win. Not with violence, not with revenge, with evidence, with truth, with justice. That's the lesson Sarah taught me, even if she didn't mean to. The teacher became the student, and the student learned well. The glacier hike feels like a lifetime ago now, but sometimes I still dream about that ice bridge, about the moment Marcus lunged, about the choice I made to be ready instead of being a victim. In my 40 years as a detective, I'd saved a lot of lives. Turned out the most important one was my own. And that's a story worth telling.